So coming to today's topic, that is about posterior pituitary gland secretes a hormone. The name of that hormone is ADH. ADH stands for anti-diuretic hormone. Anti-diuretic hormone, as the name is indicated, it is diuretic, anti-diuretic hormone. It performs its action against the action which is performed by diuretic substances. For example, it helps us to conserve water. It helps us to conserve water. That is the action which is against the action of diuresis. Diuresis is a substance. Diuresis is a few of the medicines which are being used to increase the water loss from the body. And that is called diuretic effect. So anti-diuretic hormone, it is the action which is performed against the action of diuresis. It helps us to conserve water inside the body. The second name of ADH hormone is vasopressin. The second name of this hormone is vasopressin. ADH is secreted from the posterior pituitary gland. It is synthesized in the hypothalamus. And where in the hypothalamus? Hypothalamus has a nucleus. The name of that nucleus is supraoptic nucleus. This nuclei is present inside hypothalamus, and it helps us to synthesize ADH, and this ADH comes down the nerve terminals through the portal circulation and coming to the posterior pituitary gland, where it is secreted into the bloodstream and reach different parts of the body where it's performed its action. So let us draw this. For example, this is a hypothalamus. Hypothalamus has a nucleus. The name of that nucleus we have already said. The nucleus in blue. This nucleus is supraoptic nuclei. From this hypothalamus there is a stalk extending downward, and this stalk then change into the pituitary gland. The pituitary gland we have already discussed initially. It is divided into two: anterior pituitary gland and the posterior pituitary gland, or adenohypophysis and neurohypophysis. So this supraoptic nucleus is originating, few neurons are originating from this. And these nerve terminals are responsible for the secretion of ADH hormone or vasopressin. Whenever this supraoptic nuclei is activated, whenever the stimulus is reaching the supraoptic nucleus, it helps us to secrete this ADH hormone. What sort of signals is reaching the supraoptic nucleus? So, in what conditions ADH are being secreted? There are two very big stimulus for the secretion of ADH hormone. Number one stimulus and number two stimulus. So number one and this is number two. Number one, when there is less blood pressure, in the body, the senses are being felt at supraoptic nuclei, and this supraoptic nuclei is responsible for the secretion of ADH and vasopressin. Number second, whenever there is increased blood osmolarity, whenever there is increased blood osmolarity, what is osmolarity? The ratio between solutes and solvent. So as you all know, the normal blood pressure is 120 by 80 mm of Hg, the average blood pressure. And the normal blood osmolarity is 290 milliosmol per liter. 290 milliosmol per liter is the normal osmolarity of the blood. So whenever the blood is hyperosmolar, it means the salts are much more as compared to the water content. So the signals are felt at supraoptic nuclei, and supraoptic nuclei are then giving signals for the secretion of ADH hormone or vasopressin hormone. This hypothalamus, there is another area, another very important area. There are two outgrowths. Let me draw it here. There are two outgrowths. There was supraoptic nucleus. This outgrowth has two names: subauricular organ, and the short form is SFO. Here is another organ. The name of that organ is organ vasculosa. So there are two organs, number 1 and number 2. This area is that area where the blood-brain barrier is not very well formed. The blood-brain barrier is not very well formed. So this blood-brain barrier is not very well formed, so the blood entering this area has a very exact amount of blood osmolarity, which is sensed by this area, and this area is forming this ADH hormone or vasopressin hormone. So the signals are coming from two very important stimuli. If the blood pressure is lower from 120 mm of Hg, or if the blood osmolarity is higher than 290 milliosmol per liter, which we have already discussed. So when the blood comes to this area, there are two organs, subauricular organs and organ vasculosum. These two organs sense the osmolarity of the blood, and this passing signals to supraoptic nuclei. Supraoptic nuclei, then the nerve originating from supraoptic nuclei goes down to the posterior pituitary gland or the neurohypophysis, and these nerve terminals are responsible for the secretion of ADH hormone or the vasopressin. Initially, now what happens when these hormones are secreted inside the blood? Initially, we have discussed the hormones classification, the classification of hormones. That hormones are of predominantly two types. Number 1, a protein hormone, which is made up of amino acids, and another classification was steroid hormones. And we have already discussed under this umbrella that protein hormones or the amino acid hormones, the receptors are on the cell surface, and for the steroid hormones, the receptors are in the cytoplasm. The receptors are in the cytoplasm. We know that ADH hormone or vasopressin hormone is protein derived. So ADH or vasopressin, these are proteins derived, made up of amino acid,